Kadri is a Stanley Cup champion. Real quick from Sports Interaction. Get more ways to play on every sport. Baseball, golf, and Canadian football are still in full swing. The action starts at Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook. Bet before the game starts, live in play, or one of their many prop bets. Doing it right since 1997, Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all that sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. As always, it's 18 plus. Please play responsibly. Welcome to the final Cup Check video of the 2022 Stanley Cup Final, because the Colorado Avalanche win 2-1 in Tampa to end Tampa's Cup streak and any chance of a three-peat and capture their first Stanley Cup in over 2 decades. The Avalanche win their cup. So many stories. Which should we talk about first? I know, let's all dunk on a Leaf fan. June 28th, 2017, I tweeted, Joe Sakic really ought to be fired. Look at this nonsense. And then I tweeted out the Avalanche cap-friendly page. And today, it was retweeted by Freezing Cold Takes, the actual official account. Have you ever had a tweet retweeted by Freezing Cold Takes? Not fun. Here's producer Drew helping it along. That was helpful. Thank you, Drew. And you know what? Yeah, I sent a bad tweet about the Avalanche in 2017, but at least I didn't ask for a trade from them by explaining I wanted to play playoff hockey. Ooh. Oh, and en route to the Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup victory, Matt Duchene lost playoff hockey to the Colorado Avalanche. That's tough. But listen, when you're wrong, you're wrong. I've said I was wrong about that for several years because it's been obvious for several years that the Avalanche were destined for this. And I think the only reason it happened this year is this is the first time in 3 years I haven't predicted the Avalanche would win the Stanley Cup. To the point where producer Drew asked me to stop doing it in my Sportsnet videos. 2020, I had the Avs. 2021, I had the Avs. Both times it was the Lightning. And funny enough, the one time I don't pick the Avs, they beat the Lightning. Didn't look like that at first, though. There were some 2019 NBA Final vibes. Luckily for the Avalanche, that's how it ended. Because just like the Raptors were, the Avalanche were up 3-1 in their series. Just like the Raptors, the Avalanche had a chance to win it at home. Just like the Raptors, the Avalanche lost Game 5 at home. And then in Game 6, Steven Stamkos scores the first goal of the game to put Tampa up 1-0. And just like in Game 6 for the Raptors, it felt like the Avs might be screwed. But just like 2019 for the Raptors, the Avs ended up being fine. But dude, what the heck was that first goal? Stamkos, who's been a man possessed in this series, just allowed to do whatever he wants. Darcy Kemper doing some sort of chaturanga. I don't even know what yoga pose that is. Chaturanga, and downward dog. I know those two. I think they might be the same thing. Whatever he did, it wasn't helpful, and the Lightning went up 1-0. Now, the Avs, if they are going to win tonight, not only have to win an elimination game against the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is not something anyone has done for several years. Not only do they have to do it in Tampa, which is not something that most teams often do, they have to do it against Andrei Vasilevsky, who is nearly unbeatable while the Lightning have the lead. Now, if you watch my streams on the Sportsnet YouTube channel, watch the Stanley Cup Playoffs with Steve Dangle, we had on producer Drew, who is very notably and openly a Colorado Avalanche fan. Very proud. By the way, that's why this video went up late, because producer Drew is editing this video and he had to celebrate. Is this the first video that you've edited with a hangover, Drew? Just say yes. Just say yes. Our bosses are watching, just say yes. But he told me to watch out for angry Nathan MacKinnon. The second period, we are going to see Nathan MacKinnon angry, and the Lightning won't like him when he's angry. Owen Byram sets him up for a one-timer that he has been trying a million times in these playoffs. We've been streaming the Avalanche since the Oilers series, the beginning of the Oilers series, and over and over and over again, Nathan MacKinnon is trying to bang out that one-timer, and it doesn't work. I'm sure it works sometimes. If you gave me 1,000 darts, I'd eventually hit a bullseye. But MacKinnon channeled the chaos. Beat Vasilevsky, who only got a part of it, but not enough, and less than 2 minutes into the second period before the Lightning can really wrap themselves around you Anaconda style. The Avalanche tie it. Later in the period, it is said that hockey is a game of bounces. And funny enough, a bounce is exactly what led to the eventual Stanley Cup winning winning goal. Before the bounce, though, a little bit of controversy. The Lightning, you're not going to believe this, wanted a penalty here, as behind the play, Josh Manson takes down Pierre-Edouard Bellemare. It looks an awful lot like Bellemare is grabbing onto Bellemare's stick with the chicken wing move, and then when he gets up, he's campaigning to the ref instead of skating his legs off to get back into the play and prevent the 3-on-2. But away the Avs go on the 3-on-2. And now here's the bounce. Artturi Lehkonen on the left, Nathan MacKinnon in the middle, Josh Manson on the right. Artturi Lehkonen on the left, Nathan MacKinnon in the middle, and Josh Manson on the right. Manson over to MacKinnon. MacKinnon tries to go back to Manson on the backhand, but it's broken up by Ryan McDonagh. Unfortunately for McDonagh, the puck goes right to Artturi Lehkonen with a little help from MacKinnon. And, let me get it right this time, Artturi Lehkonen buries it! The game-winning goal? Question mark? Because we're pretending like we're in the game still? And by the way, in the ensuing goal celebration, Patrick Maroon just golf slashes. That is a katana slash to Josh Manson, and if Manson doesn't react, who knows? Like, what if his league just doesn't care? They don't care. You know why it wasn't a penalty? I'll tell you why it wasn't a penalty. Because penalties in the Stanley Cup Final are the easiest thing to predict in the world. I am saying this with all the disrespect I can muster. Anybody, I mean anybody, you, me, your uncle, who's the coworker you don't like, anyone, a stranger you made small talk with at the bus stop, anybody could be an NHL official in the Stanley Cup Final. Any of them. I said on stream what? What did I say? One team is going to get one penalty in the first. The other team is going to get one penalty in the second. In the third, nothing. Nothing. Unless they are forced to. Unless the puck goes over the glass for some reason. That is the one cardinal sin. And look at that. Look at that. They wasted no time getting to Cale Makar, 23 seconds in. Ryan McDonagh got a 2 minutes for trying to fold Darren Helm in half. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Anyway, 0 minutes for you can do that. And now the Tampa Bay Lightning on home ice are about to go into the third period losing a Game 6. Where have we seen this before? Surely the Tampa Bay Lightning cannot do it! Except, they have already in these playoffs. Because Leafs fans turns the knife. Remember, the Toronto Maple Leafs were actually winning in the third period of Game 6 of their first round series with the Lightning. The Lightning draw some penalties they drew some penalties, they scored, and then they tied it with that goal, and then they won it in overtime. Producer Drew said that the Colorado Avalanche had to keep their foot on the gas heading into the third period, and I thought he was absolutely right. A lot of people think you crawl into a hole. You crawl into your shell, and you really try to lock it down. The Avs did both. As the road team, in an elimination game to clinch the Stanley Cup, the Colorado Avalanche in Tampa against the back-to-back reigning Stanley Cup champions outshot a Tampa Bay Lightning team that was losing the entire third period 9-4. Kemper did have to make a spectacular save against Nikita Kucherov, but 4 shots for the Lightning in the third, in a third that they were losing the entire time, and their season depends on it. Do you know what a masterpiece? Hang it in the Louvre! What a period of hockey that is from the Avalanche. Oh, and also this. With seconds to go, Nick Murray asking the question, what in the world was Nikita Kucherov doing in the final 25 seconds of that hockey game? With just under 30 seconds to go, Victor Hedman goes back into the Lightning zone to retrieve the puck, and the camera catches Kucherov like smacking his hand on the board and throwing his gloves, and what's going on? Well, according to Nasher, Kucherov broke his stick and heads to the bench. The equipment manager doesn't have one ready, so he chucks his gloves at him and quits. Wow. I will say it's pretty bad that a stick wasn't ready for him at the most crucial part of the game, but to throw your gloves and call it quits, That's just inexcusable. That's the dichotomy of Nikita Kucherov. Like, in 2019, he gets a ridiculous suspension in the middle of a sweep against the Columbus Blue Jackets in a series that he basically lost his temper in and gave up on. In the bubble, he's one of the most dominant players in the world. In 2021, he's one of the most dominant players in the world. And in this one, he's one of the most dominant players in the world. He led Tampa Bay in scoring. They had plenty of time, not for most people to score, but plenty of time for Nikita Kucherov to score. Dude, grab a right-handed stick. Who cares? Your season's on the line. Who throws their gloves at the equipment manager mid-game in the final 30 seconds of any game, in a preseason game, let alone this one? Even if he thought it was going to be icing and he couldn't hear or something, who throws the, why? And you know what? Everyone was focused on the Avalanche after the game. I haven't seen any post-game quotes from the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't know if we're gonna see any. I hope Nikita Kucherov is asked about that, and I hope he has a long answer, because he couldn't wait for the camera to be on him last year, talking about number one BS and all this, and over the cap, he wore the shirt, he didn't care. I just want to know what he has to say now. But the clock winds down, and the Colorado Avalanche win the 2022 Stanley Cup, and what a story. Take your pick. Joe Sakic winning the Cup in Colorado as a player and then as a general manager. How did he do it? Let's ask producer Drew. Traded for Josh Manson, traded for Andrew Cogliano, traded for Arturi Lehkonen, notably not Mikko Lehtonen, traded for Nico Sturm, traded for Darcy Kemper and outbid the Oilers to do it, who they ended up beating in the Western Conference Final. Traded for Devon Taves, the easiest 2 second-rounders you've ever given up. Traded for Nazem Kadri. I don't want to talk about it. Traded for Girard, who wasn't even in this the latter half of this Cup run, by the way, and Boehm Byram in the form of a first-round pick. Traded for Andre Burakovsky as well, who was missing. Plus all the free agents, Joe Sakic put on a masterclass building this team. And you see, it was all Joe Sakic, all old hard-nosed hockey guy from the 80s and 90s. None of you analytics dorks know what you're doing. Except for this analytics dork who heads up the analytics department in Colorado with the Avalanche. It's so funny how both the Colorado Avalanche and the Tampa Bay Lightning have extensive analytics departments, and no one ever seems to mention that. Before we talk about the Avalanche, Corey Perry becomes the first player in NHL history to compete in 3 straight Stanley Cup finals with 3 different teams and lose all 3. He lost with Dallas, lost with Montreal, and lost with Tampa. Now, a lot of people pointing out that you can, in fact, win with Corey Perry because it's actually happened before. He won the 2007 Stanley Cup with the Anaheim Ducks. And I'm here to tell you that none of us care about that, because most of us, unless we have cheered for a team with Corey Perry on it, hate that guy. Boo! Ha ha! It's hilarious. And it's an honor to him that we think it's hilarious and relish in him losing. His nickname's the Worm. He's proud of it. This is his gig. If we didn't like Corey Perry, he would feel like he wasn't doing his job. And I promise you, if he played for my team, I would have his jersey. But to be clear, he doesn't, so in the meantime, boo, boo, and LOL. Is he a great guy off the ice? I'm sure he is. Most hockey players seem to be. On the ice, unless you're on his team, he sucks a lot. To the point where, like, I respect it. It's such a brand. In this game, he knocked Darcy Kemper's water bottle off the net, but it's the way he did it, like, just the really meh. Like a cat knocking something off a counter. Like if he was like a bully and just went rah and got rid of it and threw it, I'd be like, whoa, calm down there, tough guy. But it's the way that little just meh. I'm like, I hate you. This dude had a smile on his face after a fight while losing 5-0 to the Leafs in the first game of the playoffs. And I was like, oh. And then the Lightning won the next game, and I'm like, oh. Because he did his job. And by the end of the series, he had done his job. This is what that guy does. So props to him, but also boo, ha-ha, and fart noises for losing 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. For the dynasty that could have been for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I am going to call them that. A true dynasty, by definition, is 3 straight championships, 3 straight Stanley Cups. Now, I think there's some wiggle room in there. Like, for example, the Gretzky-era Oilers and Messier-era Oilers won 5 cups out of 7. but they never won 3 straight. Would you call those Oilers a dynasty? Yeah, probably. Would anyone look at you sideways for calling them a dynasty? No. Were they technically a dynasty? No. But the Tampa Bay Lightning won one of the most unprecedented championships, if not the most unprecedented championship in NHL history, with the 2020 bubble. They found a way, and people put an asterisk, Jesse Blake, on this Stanley Cup. Teams could not be bothered. Teams could not get engaged. Teams could not focus in the bubble. The Tampa Bay Lightning knew what was at stake, which was the Stanley Cup, which every team knew, but the Lightning knew it the most. All right, you won that one with no fans. Let's see you win it with fans. And then Tampa wins in front of a packed barn less than a year later to become back-to-back Stanley Cup champs. And in year 3, despite injuries to Brayden Point and Anthony Cirelli and Cernak and Stamkos and Kucherov and Hedman, and you go down the list. I don't think... And then throughout the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs, you lose Brayden Point. Cirelli's playing hurt. Cernak's playing hurt. Hedman's playing hurt. Kucherov's playing hurt. Looked like Stamkos was playing hurt. Who on the Lightning was not playing hurt? The way Cernak kept blocking shots. I wanted to throw in the towel. And I didn't even have to block the things. I just watched it from home. The Tampa Bay Lightning had no quit. And I got bad news for the rest of the league. Almost that entire team is signed through next season. Up front, they have 3 UFAs. Riley Nash, who was a healthy scratch for most of these playoffs. Andre Palat, that's the big and concerning one if you're the Tampa Bay Lightning. And Nick Paul, who was a trade deadline acquisition anyway. Who are the Lightning going to replace Nick Paul with? Brayden Point when he's healthy. On the back end, Jan Rutta. That's the only UFA. Only one. And they still have their tandem of Vasilevsky and Elliott locked up. Not to mention a full season of Brandon Hagel, who was a late addition to the team and didn't seem to really sink into the fabric of the team until the playoffs. I do think some guys are going to have to take long rehabs for their body, long rests, maybe even some surgery, but the Lightning are going to be back next year, maybe in their 4th straight Stanley Cup final. Now for the Avs. Cale Makar, still not even 24 years old, wins your Conn Smythe. And not just the Conn Smythe, he won the Norris earlier this week as the Defender of the Year in the NHL. And then this from Frank Saravalli, Cale Makar is the first unanimous winner of the Conn Smythe Trophy since the PHWA began revealing MVP tabulations 5 seasons ago. Makar grabbed the first place vote from all 18 voters. And of course, I hope you forgive me for talking about Nazem Kadri, who was having such a good playoff for the Avalanche until disaster strikes. He's hit from behind by Evander Kane, a hit that actually got Evander Kane suspended, one of only 2 hits in these Stanley Cup playoffs that was suspended, not counting Darnell Nurse's headbutt, because that's not a hit, it's a headbutt. Kadri busts his thumb, and he gets surgery on that thumb, and he comes back mid-Stanley Cup final with this living room couch thing on his thumb. What is that? I've never seen that. First game back, he scores an overtime winner in the Stanley Cup final. Are you actually joking? And after all that, his dad, Sam, gets to hoist the Stanley Cup above his head. Sam became a fan favorite in Toronto. He got Naz into hockey. Naz grew up a Habs fan. I'll have to forgive him for that one. I wonder if he's going to sign there this summer just to continue torturing the Leafs. In 2016, in June, Kadri tweeted "one day." And Mike Stevens pointed out, that's today. And then the part that might get me demonetized. Nazem Kadri on Sportsnet. I've had supporters in my corner since day one. Never wavered. And to everyone that thought I was a liability in the playoffs, you can kiss my ass. And dude, Kadri was not a liability for the Colorado Avalanche this year. Nazem Kadri has been unreal in all the Stanley Cup playoff runs he has been a part of that he did not get kicked out of. He was good in 2013 for the Leafs. He was fantastic in the 2020 bubble for the Avalanche, and he was fantastic this year through injury and all for the Avalanche. Would the Leafs have beaten Boston in 2018 if Kadri weren't suspended? I don't know. He was suspended. Would the Leafs have beaten Boston in 2019 if Kadri wasn't suspended? I don't know. He was suspended. Would the Avalanche have beaten Vegas if Nazem Kadri hadn't been suspended? I don't know. He was suspended. So I'm not going to lean too much into that because I think Kadri was just being cheeky. And dude, he just won the Stanley Cup. I'd be feeling myself too. And oh, by the way, new most iconic Stanley Cup picture of all time just dropped. Literally just dropped by Nicolas Aube-Kubel, dropping the cup. And Drew, can you look at that? Look at how smushed the bottom is. But look at each individual face. I don't like just take your time scrolling this photo. Like who's got the best one? They're all hilarious. Cogliano is a really good one. McKinnon. I don't know who Buddy in the top right is, but that is legendary. The cup's been through hell and back. It'll be fine. It's just buff it out. But Gabriel Landeskog, blood, sweat, and tears. The Avs almost lose him. He stays. He's blocking a shot. Can barely get off the ice in the final moments of this cup win. Hoisted above his head. Second overall pick by the Avalanche all those years ago, and I don't know if you know this or not, but you don't get the second overall pick by being good. Unless you're the Bruins in 2010. That was man, the Leafs have had some really bad ones. Passes to Erik Johnson, who has been with the Avs for what feels like forever, but he was actually drafted by the St. Louis Blues. Do you remember where? First overall in 2006. Nathan MacKinnon, he's going to make it into the Hockey Hall of Fame one day, and now he's got this one little piece of undeniability he can add to his resume. No one can ever take this away from him. And the way his career is going, the trajectory, first ballot. And yeah, that goes for Cale Makar too. A lot of talk about losing in the Stanley Cup final. Patrick Maroon, by the way, has his 3-cup streak come to an end. Almost made it 4 finals. But one of the guys Maroon beat along the way, Andrew Cogliano, who was with the bubbled Dallas Stars in 2020, who lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Ooh, the Lightning did not like him. Wins the cup after all these years, a 2005 draft pick of the Oilers. Iron Man has his streak unceremoniously come to an end, but he gets to trade it in for a Stanley Cup, and I think that suits him just fine. Valeri Nichushkin getting bought out in 2019 by the Dallas Stars. He gets to cash in this summer. So does Nas, by the way. Haven't mentioned that. And oh, Darcy Kuemper, a goalie who just won the Stanley Cup, is about to hit free agency. Like, just back up the Brinks truck, buddy. And Arturi Lehkonen, I should say, scoring the Stanley Cup winning goal. Not Mikko Lehtonen. Arturi Lehkonen scores the Stanley Cup winning goal. And the second time in not so many years that the Montreal Canadiens have traded a player to a team that ended up scoring the Stanley Cup winning goal. Arturi Lehkonen in 2022 and Lars Eller in 2018. You know what? Enough from me. Producer Drew, do you have any thoughts?
Well, everyone, did I get much sleep last night? Not really. Did I spend a lot of money on Stanley Cup Finals merch? Yes, I did. Is my basement covered in champagne? Yes, it is. It smells really bad down here, and it's like Pine Sol mixed with cleaning liquids. Pine Sol is cleaning liquid, but champagne as well, and beer, and it was a good time. It was a good time. Had an espresso this morning, got ready to make this video, threw on the Colorado top. All I gotta say is the 2022 Stanley Cup champions are the Colorado Avalanche. No team is better. Everyone else, too bad, so sad. Kiss the rings. Can't hear you. The Stanley Cup rings are in my ear. Joe Sakic, true masterclass. Avs fans, enjoy it. Leafs fans that are watching this video, no doubt, you'll be here soon.
Drew, one day, maybe one day, I'll get to do an LFR video for the Leafs winning the cup. But not today. Today belongs to the Colorado Avalanche. Thank you, everybody, for watching Cup Check. Thank you for watching my channel this season. It's a fake goodbye. You know, I want to say thank you for watching this season, and there will be no more game reaction videos this season, obviously, but I can't really say goodbye because I'm not going anywhere. We got the lead into the draft coming up. We got free agency coming up. You're going to be seeing a lot of me over the next few weeks. Maybe after that, I'll do a thorough goodbye, but you all know you're the best, so keep being the best. that is it for this season. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends.
Turn the lights off. Carry me home.